this is actually quite the unfamiliar feeling. It's the sun. The sun is friggin' out and shining, you know? It's not 68 degrees out. This is freaking crazy. We're gonna have a naturally lit pose down today, I think. So yeah, plan for this lift 18 days out from the Arnold UK. So phase 1 of this competition season is now over. The only thing left to do is adjust and improve accordingly. So a few more weeks of standard cardio, 45 minutes in the morning, 45 at night. I'm going to steepen my deficit just a little bit, see if I can get a tad bit leaner. And then in terms of overall changes, side relaxed, really widen up, get that back arm way out there. In the mirror backstage, I was doing it a little bit differently. That's just kind of a practice thing where I got to be able to hit it the same way without seeing my own reflection, because that's kind of cheating if you can see your own, like how you look as you're doing the pose. It's pretty easy to make a little adjustment if you're looking directly at yourself in the mirror while you're doing it. Not to mention just the overall kind of carb up water pull process. I'm going to back off a touch, not push it so hard in terms of big fluctuation. Of course, I'm going to find out once I'm there. This is still kind of further in the future. Got to come off of a overnight international flight, which might mess around with like my water retention and everything. There's a couple more variables at play, but I think a little bit of a less is more approach for this one. Come in a bit fuller, right at that weight cap. That'll be cool. But that's something to focus on apart from right now. Right now, I've got one thing on my mind, and that's getting a pretty nasty ass chest pump. So it's not show week, so I can really bring it. I'm not going to hold anything back in terms of like effort on a set-by-set basis. My last few days of hitting workouts before the Arnold, those lifts were very tame. Just get a pump, get things moving, because I don't want to be residually inflamed in my chest before trying to, carb up and everything for the show. Not to mention, if you did a crazy heavy leg day the day before weigh-ins, your legs might be residually heavier, and you're going to hold on to extra water weight in your legs because they'll be so inflamed just from, having really freaking killed them. So that's kind of the one angle when it comes to the actual competing side of things, where the training really changes. For the most part, my training doesn't change. Bulking up, of course, I'm really bringing it, pushing it a bit harder. Dieting down, you just kind of have to back off a little bit, just due to the nature of like, okay, you're not as let's just say you're not as tough, you don't have as many carbs and calories and just straight up energy at your disposal to recover. But those last few weeks pre-show, you kind of change it a little bit. So I've got a few goals. Obviously, get pumped. Secondly, don't rip my pec off. That would probably be the dumbest thing I could freaking do right now. So yeah, I think nothing else to say but to freaking get in there. So it'll be a little lighter. I like the idea of like some incline barbell or some incline Smith press, but I've kind of noticed that, especially dieting, my chest stays lean a little more squeezing rather than heft tension based work. There's not a huge squeeze that you get on incline barbell or incline Smith machine. You can put a lot of tension into your chest because it's like pretty much the pressing movement that you can do, right? And the weight's heaviest at the bottom, where you're gonna get stuck at the bottom, not at the top. But yeah, so a little bit more cable work. Don't worry, incline Smith, incline barbell, and some dumbbell will return, but we're gonna have to save the heft for post-competition season. But yeah, I think nothing else to say. Let's just go enjoy this warm-ass freaking drive and get this chest pump started. 18 more days to make some improvements. Let's not start too wild. Just get some 100-pound crossbody cable presses started. So personally, I like doing like a little bit of this hand over hand. Normally with a cable press, I'm trying to keep my hands turned upward, like almost, just be supinated, to try to keep my front delts out of it. But this hand over hand action, especially bent over a little bit, I can keep my front delts pretty much uninvolved. Because I mean, this is kind of complicated, but what I'm trying to feel isn't even just my chest in general flexing. Like I'm trying to feel my arm pull around and then up and in. And then I can feel my upper chest right in here where it inserts really freaking flex on the top. So this will be a light squeezing set, and we will go from there. All right, that is not even close to the same weight. There we go. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. One more of those. Minimum. Maybe a few. I don't know. We'll see. You gotta play it by... I'd say play it by ear, more like play it by chest. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, yeah, let's do a pec deck. Honestly, I'll probably just come back to these cables for something next. It won't be close to done. I'm already feeling freaking pumped. All right, normally I am just full stacking this pec deck like every time, no matter what. Not this time. I'm down like, yeah, 300 on the stack. I'm doing 200. That feels about right. So same thing, still like lighter squeezing, but a little more pumpish. A little more pumpish with this one. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Let's just do the one of those. Let's go back to the cable. This has the potential to be the last set. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's all. Let's see how we're looking. All right, there we go. So that was what? A quick that a 5-setter? I don't know, something like that. Either way, fully friggin' pumped. And I'm definitely still residually, let's just say watery, but less and less so in a bad way. Honestly, this is not a badass look. Or no, this is not a bad look, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I mean, pretty substantial amount of grain. Actually, let's walk us forward a little bit, get really shadowy. So this is closer to what I want to be able to look like on stage. So it's this balancing act. I got to line up, being able to carb up, but still not overdo it and kind of kill like the sort of the dry look, if you feel me. So it's, well, let me get one more shot at it to get it a little bit freakier. But yeah, there we go. All right, let's see how we're looking just standing. Yeah. Now, super full like this, that's what I want to see. So this is essentially the bar for the, let's call it re-debut. Now let's see the backside as well. Oh my goodness. All right. Nothing else to discuss. Let's get in the car and get back home. I gotta do some more cardio. There we go. All right, so morning weight the day after show day, or I think the day after show day. I don't know, either way. The heaviest that my morning weight was in terms of just that rebound, water siphoning, you know, carb hitting effect and everything, plus eating a big ass show day dinner, which honestly wasn't even that crazy, just like some sushi at the hotel restaurant. It was 243. So that's pretty heavy. This morning was 236. Yesterday was 239. So I'm kind of rebounding back to my regular amount of water retention, or I guess lack of retention rather, over these next few days. So I'm making sure my fluids are high, you know, nothing super specific with like electrolytes or super low sodium or high sodium or anything. Really just having a gallon jug of 0 calorie something or other just to constantly sip on, and then back to the deficit. You know, I've only had 1,000 calories so far. It's 5 o'clock. That's good for me, because what that means is I get to have a pretty dense post-workout, you know, kind of like combination of 3 meals. So what I eat when I get home, what I eat for, you know, the meal after that, and then a little bit of a kind of snack beforehand. So my pre-workout meal, this is actually pretty good. I'm going to be slamming this again, was kind of a hodgepodge of a few ingredients. So 1 pack of instant oatmeal, so 22 grams of carbs, about 1 gram of fat. I think it says there's a gram of protein. The protein coming from oatmeal, I wouldn't worry about it. I'm not going to count the 1. Combined, half a banana, mashed up after that was microwaved and, like, you know, fully cooked. Half a scoop of the raw isolate. I think, it's the s'mores flavor. That one goes freaking crazy. Plus a little bit of powdered peanut butter, only 1 little tablespoon worth. And the liquid from the oatmeal was enough that mashed up together, it all kind of blended up well into just about 50 grams of carbs, 27 grams of proteins, and about 5 grams of fat. Sort of just little, honestly, a porridge is a pretty good description. And I tell you what, I am going to be eating that again. That was pretty freaking good. And I made sure to use a little, like, tiny teaspoon to eat it, because it's not a lot. Like, it's less than that whole thing altogether was probably maybe a 1/4 cup worth of volume of food. Maybe a 1/3 cup, but not even close to a 1/2 cup worth of food volume. So definitely a little bit denser. Like if I dipped a rice cake into it, that'd be a little more filling. Of course, I'd have the added carbs from the rice cake. But if I had a big, like, serious soup spoon, or like, just a big spoon, I could eat the whole thing in like, probably 5 big bites, and then it'd be gone. It'd be over. So one little trick, dieting wise, that always helps me, at least in terms of enjoying my food as I'm eating it, is using smaller utensils. So by using that little spoon, I'm just kind of taking a little bite at a time, and it makes that little bowl of oatmeal, kind of banana, everything else, just last a little bit longer, and that's what I want, because I got to get serious again. Not that I wasn't serious before, but as much as I got a little bit of a break from the let's just call it the pressures of the diet during that carb up and everything, and show day, and drinking fluids and filling up, now we got to get back to it. And it was kind of abrupt. We're sitting backstage of some of the Arnold photo ops that I was doing this weekend, and the day after the show, I had a couple Kit Kats, I had a Reese's cup. Shit was fun, a little bit of a bump. But then the day afterwards, Sunday, all I had for breakfast was a freaking can of chicken, So that's my fill of a refeed. And given that I'm only 18 days out from competing again, that's not enough time to warrant another one. There is no space for a refeed in that sort of time frame. Like when I say refeed, even if you have like a pretty substantial, what could essentially just be a cheat day, that's not something you can do frequently and still be on track with your diet's goal. Some guys are I saw this one TikTok that was pretty funny. It's like day 2 into the cut. All right, man, I'm having a quick little refeed. The guy's eating 6 cinnamon buns. He's joking, of course, but it's like, a lot of people do that. They like the idea, like they want to present as dieting, but it's always just, instead of saying, oh man, I'm eating whatever the hell I want right now, it's a little bit of a self-soothing behavior to say, oh, I'm just having a refeed. Oh, dude, come on. This Cinnabon and these pretzel bites, this is just a refeed, man. I'm getting peeled. The guy's not getting peeled. The guy is not getting peeled whatsoever freaking ever. So I will say this though, that refeed for the Arnold Columbus definitely got some treats out of let's just call it my hankering for treats out of my system. So I think I'm actually going to have a slightly easier time over these next 2 weeks relative to, like, let's just say the last 2 weeks before the Arnold Columbus, because now I kind of had my fill. Honestly, I was eating so many carbs, it was to the point where it's like, all right, shit, okay, let's eat some more oatmeal. And, dip it with rice cakes instead of a spoon to, up my kind of carb intake. Not that I was upset about it. You're never going to look at me turn down some extra carbs or like say, oh man, it's too much. Like the idea of like, oh crap, bro, this bulk, I just can't do it. I can't put size on. It's like, are you serious, man? I would slam a zillion calories right now if I was only listening to my brain's dopaminergic instincts to just get some grub, at all times. Of course, that's not to plan. But it's like, yeah, don't, if you've got, if you're somebody who's got trouble putting size on, I guess I've been giving you some slack these last 6 months, because all I've been talking about is dieting. All I've been saying is calorie deficit, filling foods, high volume, low density, sugar-free options and everything else. And once this next bulk starts up, you're back on the chopping block. I'm not gonna, it's not such a cut and dry rule as though, we're back at that 200-pound mandate. That was not meant to be such a huge thing. When I made that video, that video only got like 1,000 views in the first month. Like that kind of got blown out of proportion. But it's like, if you want to put on a bulk, or bulk up and kind of put some size on, I said it all weekend. I got to talk to, man, I don't know how many hundreds of people at the Arnold. But either way, when we're talking plateaus, both, bulking up and dieting down, when it's like, all right, what are some good tips? Shit, man, either one case or the other. Either you got to eat more food or you got to eat less food. And I think the simplicity of like just taking that as very factual is at least one of the secrets, because it's like, if my weight didn't change over these next few days, and I didn't get any leaner, and all I did was get softer, and let's say I go up on stage again and my conditioning is way off base, well, then guess what? That meant that I ate a freaking crap ton of food in between these two shows, enough where my body stored body fat, and I couldn't stick to my diet. That's what that would mean. So it's kind of where the scale rules. The scale is shit, man, it's like the scale of justice. How the in the statue the girl has like a blindfold on. There is no prejudice, be it ethnicity, race, anything. The scale is simply going to determine whether or not you've been sticking to your diet, or whether you have let's just say have been slacking. So I can appreciate that, and I think that's maybe just because or what helps with that is, like, I'm always kind of thinking, or it's like not so much that I'm like thinking mathematically, but I can really wrap my head around the idea of, okay, I'm burning this much food every day, or I'm burning this much energy every day. If I only give myself this much energy in the form of food, I'm going to have to make up for that gap right in here and burn some internal energy stores to make up for it, right? Typically going to be body fat, so that makes a lot of sense to me. But as much as I can even wrap my head around it, it's even more validated by the fact that I've actually seen it happen, and we can say the perfect diet on paper. We can say, like, yeah, man, if all I ever eat is tilapia and carrots, or tilapia and broccoli, I'm going to get peeled. That's freaking probably true. But you also have to do it. And that's where the human element comes into play, because we can, the easiest person in the world to lie to and kind of like, not connive, but sort of like deceive and like influence is going to be yourself. So if you're sitting here and you're like, oh man, I could get away with a little bit of this, that, or the other, and do I even really care? You can like infect your own mind before you even start. So I guess, I don't know where I was going with that. It's a little trickier than just saying a diet on paper. You also have to kind of stick to it. So if I could give you one more tip before we get out of here in terms of sticking to that diet, whether it's dieting down, like I've been doing this whole freaking time, or bulking up, which comes with its own difficulties, of course, like restricting food, objectively pretty hard, but eating food to the point where, like, you don't really have that urge to eat, but you do want to because it's in line with what your goals are, that's hard too. It's not as it's kind of a spectrum. Some guys have an easy time plowing down food, and then some guys have an easy time just like eating nothing and staying lean year round. But just try to keep it in the front of your mind what that goal is, because with working out, it's not exactly for you currently, except for the enjoyment of getting a pump. Like, I just got a chest pump today, and I got to enjoy that today, so that's for current me. But the progress, dieting, training, everything else, you're not going to see that for freaking weeks. You're not going to see that for months on end, depending on the guy. I got to see some crazy transformations this weekend of dudes who lost like 100 pounds in a year, 150 pounds in a year, and it's insane, And guess what? The guy did not need the instant gratification of achieving that goal, because it's a long-term freaking endeavor. So I know that somebody who lost 100 pounds in a year had it very clearly in his mind, I want to get there. I want to get to this weight. I want to get to this waist size. I want to get to this look. And he didn't let that thought falter, and he kept it very clearly in his mind. And I'm sure that helped him say, I'm not going to get a 4 for 4. I'm going to eat my ground beef and some cream of rice. We're going to keep it basic tonight. I'm not going to get a caniac with double-sided breaded toast. I'm going to have my ground chicken, and I'm going to have my ground turkey and a little bit of sugar-free barbecue sauce, because future me wants me to do that, so that's what it's all about. But that's all I got. That was a very freaking chest pump, and yeah, that's what I want to see. So I want to have something similar to that, and I think I just got to go harder on my backstage pump up too, like with the bands, I'm doing cross body press and like some curls and some side delts and stuff. I think I really got to get after it, because I would never expect a crazy chest pump if all I did was a little bit of stuff. So I got to really bring it next time. I got a lot of information. I got a lot of information and feedback to work with after this first show, and that's why I'm really happy about doing the 2, because I can make some adjustments for the second one super soon, only a few weeks in between. So I'm gonna let all that simmer in my mind. And yeah, man, I'll see you tomorrow for 17 days out, and then for 16 days out, and then 15, and then 14, and then 13, and then before we know it, boom, back on freaking stage. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, nothing else to say, so I will see you freaking tomorrow.